Welcome to Just the Facts, episode number 29. This is DJ Sherwood, and this is Mr. Bob Grill.
Can you believe 29, D?
I know, 29 episodes. It's just gone by so fast.
It's amazing.
So fast. We're live at the studio in Henderson, Nevada at Lightspeed VT. We always enjoy plugging them a little bit. So if you ever need a learning management system, reach out to Lightspeed VT. That's our only commercial. That will be our only commercial today. But welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Today's subject, one of our episodes, episode 27, we talked about maximizing opportunities. And so if you haven't listened to that one, please do go back and listen to that. We're going to break that out a little bit today and go a little bit deeper into some of the things that we talked about on episode 27. And yeah, go ahead.
The cool part is we're going to stitch in 28 where we talked about the new concerns of the consumer. It's
we are.
Same conversation.
We are.
Clever.
But in a different way and go a little bit deeper into those because we got some good feedback on those. And so we just want to take a little bit deeper dive into maximizing opportunities. And so, Bob, as we talk about this, the first thing I want to talk about is I saw this article by a friend of ours, a one of our
Just the Facts
elite members of Just the Facts that has been on conversation. We've got to have him back, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dale Pollock, that's who we're talking about. If you're listening right now, we need you back because we want to talk about some of the things you wrote in one of your articles. I think it was back in June.
Yeah.
And it really was when we're talking about maximizing opportunities is what is the inventory that sells the fastest for the most money? What is most profitable to you? Most of you that are listening on this call. And really at the top of his list was lease returns.
Lease returns.
So let's
cars and trade-ins.
Yeah. So let's start off there on the lease returns and how valuable is that for the dealers that are out there listening on those lease returns, if that's something that they can capture, or maybe they can look for lease returns in a different way.
Yeah. And we reached out to Dale and had a personal conversation with him about that stuff. And, it's interesting because whenever you're looking at vehicles today, evaluating vehicles, and certainly with their tools, there's a range, right? There's a range of a vehicle, on average, maybe 3,000 or 3,500 between the cars that are on the top end of that scale and the cars that maybe aren't. And that's what he's in reference to, right? Not missing out on opportunities when you have a piece of inventory that really, if you built it yourself, the things like one owner and the things like it's been well taken care of. It's a personally owned vehicle, no accidents, no damage. Maybe you sold it new at your dealership and all those kind of things that come into play. That's an opportunity to ask for more money. Everyone's concerned about market pricing and what's in the marketplace. It's really a market of one and how it fits into the rest of the marketplace. So there's times when your vehicle is worth more than market. There's times when your vehicle is worth less than market. And really what Dale's saying is when we're talking about maximizing opportunities is recognize, hey, here's a little car or truck or SUV, whatever it is, I'm going to go for it on this one. This one deserves more money. Or I'm gonna be aggressive on this one. This one deserves a little less. And just looking at each opportunity and quit just bulk pricing everything and batch pricing everything.
Well, that makes sense because there's some lease returns out there. I know there was a little bit of a pause, right?
Yeah.
So to when people were during COVID, when they're actually returning those, but they're starting to trickle in a little bit more.
Yeah. So when it comes to lease returns, we work with every manufacturer, quite frankly. When it comes to certified pre-owned. And lease returns have always been a optimal certified pre-owned. And Co happens to be his latest article, Dale's, is on CPO, right? But here's what we're finding out. Dealers are saying, well, a lot of people are just keeping their car. They're just keeping their lease return. They're just keeping the well, they are keeping it. In other words, not giving it to the dealer. But then they're just selling it on their own, right? Or they're just selling it to one of the other dealers, not necessarily just turning it in because it's been pretty common knowledge that they're worth more than the residual factors were. But here's the point. As a dealer, you need to reach out to those consumers. you need to let them know that their car's worth more than their lease return says it's going to give them, because others are doing it. They're being, what's the right word? Pilfered, right? They're pilfering their lease returns because it's worth more money, and they just happen to be more aggressive, reaching out to your consumer, your customer, and saying, hey, don't just turn that car in. We'll give you X amount for it. So dealers need to evaluate that a little bit when they're looking at their lease returns, because at the end of the day, a personally owned lease return is the sought-after inventory by consumers because of the public perception that a personal lease return has been well taken care of, because everyone fears, getting penalized when you turn in a lease with too many miles or in rough shape or what it might be. So the public perception definitely puts lease returns up on a higher pedestal. And if the dealer can, turning that into certified pre-owned is the maximum return.
Yeah, and I think making sure that you look at whatever source you are acquiring vehicles is seeing where those lease returns might land. Maybe a dealer passed on it. Maybe it's at an auction, a physical auction. Maybe you have access to be able to go into, that manufacturer's auction when those lease returns do come up for you to be able to purchase. But to Bob's point is putting a little bit more money into those, knowing that they are going to sell on the retail side for more money because of the public perception, and they're great cars.
Yeah.
And so it's great inventory to have. And so it kind of reinforces some of the things that we had talked about way back when in some of our episodes on it's hard to find inventory and finding
where are the cars?
Those exactly that leased inventory, the lease returns that are out there. And because we took a pause, we didn't talk about it so much. But because there's a lot of leases happening right now, and we may go on this in episode number 30 is talking about, some of the interest rates that are going up, and some of that might drive more lease programs.
It's funny, if we go way back to episode one, that was Kevin Lee.
Where are the cars?
Where are the cars?
Where are the cars?
We could have that episode today.
Yeah, definitely.
It is amazing though. Through it all, dealers persevere. There are dealers today still having the best business they've ever had. You just gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention to the details and stay on offense.
I agree. So let's move into the second thing that was on that list, and it's almost like we should have Dale Pollack here. So we got to get him in here.
Where are you,
because
Dale?
Because we're using some of the information he gave and other things that are in the industry too, because they're all starting to say the same things, and that's that next one is that service customer, service customer, and sourcing that inventory and finding ways. And so, it's no secret that we work at Carfax, but part of working at Carfax, we hear a lot of things that are happening with dealerships. And that's why we created this podcast, is really to have some industry insights. And some of those things we gather is from you that are listening. And when you give us some feedback and say, here's what I'm dealing with, but we have access to over 30,000 dealers where we can really start to gauge some trends, some things that are happening, some pain points and all of that. But one of the things that they're starting to do that is, some of the dealers out there is really create a process around sourcing service vehicles. And so why is that on that list, and why have we been talking about it here at Just the Facts for so long?
Well, when you look at what vehicles are in service, right, they fall under a lot of the categories, which is the ideal inventory. And the ideal inventory, there's a couple of parameters. What sells well new, sells well used. So if they're in that dealer's service department and they sold the vehicle new, what sells well new, sells well used. One owners are a highly sought after target. A large percentage of the vehicles in a dealership service department are one owner vehicles, right? Well maintained. We talked about it in the last episode, future cost, right? The best predictor of the future is the past. And one of the key elements today with today's buyer is future cost. Not only what am I paying for the vehicle, but what's it going to cost me while I own it? So again, going back to that service department, what sells well new, sells well used, percentage of one owners, well maintained, future, it's all there. So what dealers are learning, some better than others, is you have to have a system. You have to have a process for how you want to attack that pool of inventory, because you don't want to alienate your best customer. And your best customer is the customer that bought it new and does use your service department. You don't want to wear them out every time they show up so that they don't want to show up anymore, because every time they do, you try and sell them a car. So you have to put some thought into your dealership. There's no blanket answers because every dealership's a little bit different. You have to partner. There are a couple of similarities. So you have to partner your service drive and your sales team. You have to go at it as one team.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and not every dealer, quite frankly, is good at that, right? Mm-hmm. So, again, putting a process in place, making sure everyone understands their role. You'll probably have to cover some things like pay plans and incentives and whatever, but they're all manageable. But you have to, as a dealer, come together as a team and put together a process to get those cars out of service.
Absolutely. There are a lot of popular tools that are out there to price a vehicle for a customer. If I want to know the value of my trade, there's a lot of vehicles, there's a lot of products out there to be able to do that, that very thing, right? And so in part of that process, I think one of the best practices, and we've seen this done, is I get those tools. They're great. And a lot of our dealers, we even use them to be able to evaluate cars, right? But I think one of the things that might get missed is offering a free trade appraisal to service customers specific to their car. So it's not just them putting information on a computer. You're actually getting a in-person visit from the sales team, probably a sales manager that comes out and actually appraises their vehicle without the intention, and this is the key, without the intention of selling them another car. Now, they may want another car. It may lead to that, but that's not the intention here. It's really, I believe, and it's kind of a form of a question. I'm getting there, but it's really like, that can be a really good best practice to really say, hey, customers are already doing this online, but do it in person and offer that to them to show them what their car is worth. Because really, I want to know what my car is worth. I could put the numbers in and maybe it'll just spit out a range. But if I go into a dealership, I'm already sitting there for 45 minutes for an oil change.
Think about what you said, because even online, it's subject to appraisal.
It is, right? But now they've got a free appraisal, which gives them an accurate number. And here's the thing is, wouldn't it be that exact number, right? So if you're going to do the trade appraisal, you're actually doing it before that sale. So if a customer does come back and say, you know what, I would like to sell my car back and I'm looking for this vehicle. So that's a pretty important process as part of that, right? Good best practice?
100%. But here's the bottom line. We're talking about maximizing opportunities. All of that should be in your listing. All of that should be why you price it the way you priced it. In your description, forget the windows, locks, tilt, and cruise. Maybe you say, hey, this was a car acquired from one of our best customers who uses our service department. We know this vehicle, and build it up. You do all that legwork to acquire the inventory, but then you price it to market and give it a generic description.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Maximizing your opportunity means recognize it before you acquire the inventory, step up when it's the right inventory, and then make sure the consumer understands why it's priced the way it's priced. Remember this. It's not about driving traffic.
Wait a second. What did you just say?
It's not about
I thought that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to drive lots of traffic, right?
No.
No?
Drive buyers.
That does make more sense.
Much more efficient and pays better. The way you do that is make sure and let the internet do what the internet does best, which is find the right buyer for your vehicle. The way you do that is by making your vehicle stand out with a quality description. Tell them where you got it. Tell them why you bought it. Tell them why it's priced the way it's priced. Tell them why they should buy it. And price it accordingly. Will that cost you some traffic? Yeah, maybe the shopper is looking for the lowest price wins. You don't want that person buying your best car anyway. Let it filter those out, because then you find the right buyer who knows and understands the description and why it's priced the way it's priced, and it makes sense. You want 100 leads or 10 people at the door?
I think I will choose 10 people at the door.
Yeah.
Do people still shop at a dealership?
Well,
are they doing everything online? Because I hear some people saying like they're doing everything online, but like it's a really small percentage.
Here's the funny thing. Just brand new came out from Hyundai. Hyundai says that 95% of their transactions happened at the dealerships. Cox Automotive study said that 54% of a dealer's first point of actual contact with a customer was at the front door, right? Yeah. People still love the bricks and mortar. They still love the feel of the wheel. They still love the dealership experience. They don't like all the BS that can go with that. But in terms of being excited about going to get a vehicle, in terms of being able to hand pick your vehicle, drive your vehicle, it's still the thrill of a lifetime. It's still the moment in a lifetime.
Well, and although, things were, and it's like beating a dead horse, but we've talked about, the whole COVID effect and all that stuff and being shut down. But it's one of the things that bred is I want to get out. I want to look, I want to touch, I want to, I want to actually smell the interior of a new vehicle. I want to, be able to see, what's happened to the vehicle.
Listen, you may not try on a pair of socks before you buy them or try a toaster before you buy it, but a car.
Yeah. It's different.
It's different.
It is definitely different. So we talked about lease returns. We talked about service vehicles. And I think there's one more item that we were going to talk about here on this podcast.
Numero uno, which is trades. From an ROI perspective, trade is a 2-for-1. The only way to take in a trade is to sell a car. So if you're trading for more, you're automatically selling more. It's a 2-for-1. So again, you need to look at the characteristics of that vehicle you're appraising. Maybe it's your customer. Maybe it's your best customer who's coming to buy another one. If you're going to step up, that's where you step up. And when you step up, you in turn ask for the right money for the car, right? So, in the past, there's been occasions when you would lose money to keep your best customer, right? You don't have to do that today. You don't have to lose money, but you have to know how to relate the true value of that vehicle when you list it. Without question, for every car you can trade for, every car you can pull out of service, every car you can turn from a lease return, that's one less generic car at auction you have to buy just to have inventory. So again, trade-ins drive the most revenue. They sell new cars. They give you inventory. It's usually your best customer, or at least you're winning a new customer in your market, right? There's so many good things that happen from a trade-in. It drives your service department, right? We all know those answers. We don't need to beat it up today. But again, maximize your opportunities, maximize your lease returns, maximize your vehicles in service, and maximize your trade-ins and turn them into pricing them right. Don't just take those cars and throw them in a bucket and make a market.
I think it's exactly what we needed to talk about today, because I know it's a pain point for a lot of you that are listening to us. I know that it's tough to find inventory, and you're trying to find solutions, trying to find different ways to do it, but maximizing the opportunities that are right there for you. I know you use this term a lot, is controlling the controllables.
100%.
There's a lot that you can do there that you can control. Some of the things you can't. And trying to find the inventory is sometimes difficult. But what's right in front of you, you've got to maximize
service, and trades are 100% dealer control.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Just the Facts, episode number 29. It's been a good one.
It has been a good one. We'll see you at 30.
Bye-bye.